right, good morning, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and the millions watching around the world. I got another short story from Philip K. Dick I wanted to talk about. This time I want to talk about Paycheck. Paycheck. Now, Paycheck was adapted into a film starring Ben Affleck and Uma Thurman. I've never seen the movie, so I cannot comment on the film itself. But I do want to talk about the short story because once again, I find Philip K. Dick's, world, his ideals, the things that he talks about, I find them very interesting. Seeing as these short stories anyways, were written in the 1950s. Paycheck is about a guy named Jennings. And Jennings is working for a company called Rethrick Construction Company. So he's dealing with this guy named Rethrick. And when the story opens up, Jennings has basically awoken from, missing time. I'll read the opening of the story so you can see what I mean, because I think this setup's really good. So, all at once he was in motion. Around him smooth jets hummed. He was on a small private rocket cruiser moving leisurely across the afternoon sky between cities. Ugh, he said, sitting up in his seat and rubbing his head. Beside him, Earl Rethrick was staring keenly at him, his eyes bright. Coming around? Where are we? Jennings shook his head, trying to clear the dull ache. Or maybe I should ask that a different way. Already he could see it was not late fall. It was spring. Below the cruiser, the fields were green. The last thing he remembered was stepping into an elevator with Rethrick, and it was late fall, and in New York. Yes, Rethrick said. It's almost 2 years later. You'll find a lot of things have changed. The government fell a few months ago. The new government is even stronger. The SP, security police, have almost unlimited power. They're teaching the school children to inform now. But we all saw that coming. Let's see, what else? New York is larger. I understand they finished filling in San Francisco Bay. What I want to know is what the hell I've been doing the last 2 years. Jennings lit his cigarette nervously, pressing the strike in. Will you tell me that? No, of course I won't tell you that. Where are we going? Back to New York office, where you first met me, remember? You probably remember it better than I. After all, it was just a day or so ago for you. Jennings nodded. 2 years. 2 years out of his life, gone forever. It didn't seem possible. He had still been debating when he stepped into the elevator. Should he change his mind? Even if he were getting that much money, and it was a lot even for him, it didn't really seem worth it. He had always wondered what work he had been doing. Was it legal? Was it? But that was past speculation. Now, even while he was trying to make up his mind, the curtain had fallen. He looked ruefully out the window at the afternoon sky. Below, the earth was moist and alive. Spring. 2 years later. And what did he have to show for those 2 years? Have I been paid? He asked. He slipped his wallet out and glanced into it. Apparently not. No, you'll be paid at the office. Kelly will pay you. The whole works at once, 50,000 credits. So, yeah, we'll keep going. Jennings smiled. He felt a little better now that the sum had been spoken aloud. Maybe it wasn't so bad after all, almost like being paid to sleep. But he was 2 years older. He had just that much less to live. It was like selling part of himself, part of his life. And life was worth plenty these days. He shrugged. Anyhow, it was in the past. We're almost there, the older man said. The robot pilot dropped the cruiser down, sinking towards the ground. The edge of New York City became visible below them. Well, Jennings, I may never see you again. He held out his hand. It's been a pleasure working with you. We did work together, side by side. You're one of the best mechanics I've ever seen. We were right in hiring you, even at that salary. You paid us back many times, though you don't realize it. I'm glad you got your money's worth. You sound angry. No, I'm just trying to get used to the idea of being 2 years older. Rethrick laughed. You're still a young man, and you'll feel better when she gives you your pay. So, this guy, Jennings, worked for this Rethrick for 2 years, and they mind wiped him, so he remembers nothing of what he was doing. But he was promised a pay of 50,000 credits. So he gets to the place, to the company, and he meets Rethrick's secretary, Kelly, and when she goes to pay him, he's expecting his money, but he doesn't get it. Instead, he gets handed an envelope, which was apparently at Jennings' request that he get an envelope full of items instead of credits, and but he doesn't have any memory of it. So he's got like this envelope full of junk, and he's all like, "What the heck is this crap for?" You know? So there's like half a poker chip and a piece of wire and like a half of a ticket stub, and there's like a security badge. It's basically just a bunch of random trash. So it's like a mystery. He's like, what am I supposed to do with this? Anyways, upon immediately leaving Rethrick Corporation, he gets picked up by the security police who interrogate him. And he was working at the plant. They want to know what he was doing, where he was working, and what exactly he was doing for this Rethrick Corporation. And he uses the piece of wire to escape from electromagnetic lock. So yeah, it's like all the crap that's in the envelope, he uses it to piece together this puzzle to find out where the plant is, what he was doing at the plant, and essentially that's the setup for the story. It's really an interesting story. I really enjoyed it. The ending was kind of wonky again with Philip K. Dick. He has these weird endings, but I don't really want to spoil the story, but at the same time it's like I want to talk about it. So I'll just say that the story involves a device that is called a time scoop. So it's not time travel. It's a device, it's a time scoop and a mirror. So you can use the mirror to see like the future. You can't time travel, but you can scoop stuff out of the future with the time scoop. So you can like say, for instance, the book that I'm holding. The time scoop you could particularly see this book and like use the time scoop to like pull this out and put it into the past. So you can pull items out of the future and bring them into the past, which is really crazy. But some of the stuff in here, again, we have the whole idea of the common man just being crushed, caught between two opposing forces, which is a theme of Philip K. Dick that appears over and over and over again. There's this interesting theme about the individual being caught between opposing forces. So there's this excerpt I'll read here. The security police were looking for him. They had his name and description. There was no use thinking of going to his apartment, if he still even had an apartment. But where then? Hotels? The SP, security police, combed them daily. Friends? That would mean putting them in jeopardy along with him. It was only a question of time before the SP found him, walking along the street, eating in a restaurant, in a show, sleeping in some rooming house. The SP were everywhere. Everywhere, not quite. When an individual person was defenseless, a business was not. The big economic forces had managed to remain free, although virtually everything else had been absorbed by the government. Laws that had been eased away from the private person still protected property and industry. The SP could pick up any given person, but they could not enter and seize a company, a business. That had clearly been established in the middle of the 20th century. Business, industry, corporations were all safe from the security police. Due process was required. And so Rethrick Construction was a target of SP interest, but they could do nothing until some statute was violated. If they could get back to the company, get inside the doors, he'd be safe. Jennings smiled grimly. The modern church, sanctuary. It was the government against the corporation rather than the state against the church. The new Notre Dame of the world where the law could not follow. So technocracy and government have got the little man caught in the pincers in between. And again, this theme of Dick over and over and over again about the little guy. He does not write about the Superman. Dick once said that he writes about the guy, the common man, who, someday he imagines walking up and punching Superman in the face. So I really like Philip K. Dick. Now, I think Dick is a strange guy. At the same time, he did a lot of drugs. It kind of fried his mind. That's what the book that he wrote titled A Scanner Darkly was about, was Dick's paranoia. I think there's a story about Dick writing letters to Washington, D.C., writing letters to the government, and Dick, being paranoid and demanding that the FBI release everything they have on him, right? He wanted, I want everything that you have on me. And the story goes that they just mailed him back all of his letters that he had sent to them. So I like Dick quite a bit. I've got one more short story in here that I'll review, talk about, but I really need to read more Philip K. Dick. In fact, I've got a collection of 4 of his novels from the 1960s. I think I'm going to reread all of those and review them. I don't think any of them are more than 250 pages. So that'll be something to look forward to. But I just really enjoy his concepts and ideas and just the stuff that he predicted, I do think that Dick was hanging out with people from Silicon Valley back in the 50s and 60s, so that may have something to do with why his stories seem to predict the future, is because he was hanging out with people that were working in these fields and could kind of see the merging of government and corporations and the loss of individual liberty. But hey, isn't it nice to live in a world that lets you believe that you're free? It's great. The illusion of freedom, when in actuality, everything could be stripped away from you like that. All it takes is somebody planting some garbage in your history, and see how quickly everybody turns on you and you just get destroyed. I mean, yeah, with no due process, no trial, the media can absolutely destroy you overnight, just on allegations, just by hearsay. You're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but there is this whole merging and encroaching control of governments and corporations over the free press. Maybe the free press has never been free. I mean, look back to the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis sure didn't believe in a free press, did they? Anyways, thanks for watching. Yeah, have a wonderful day.